Fine. So today we are going to start our interventions. Okay. So as we already know, these interventions are strategies or techniques which are implemented in the organization to bring out changes, and these changes may be to resolve the issues or problems in the organization, or it can also be for a developmental purpose or growth of the organization or betterment of the organization. So these strategies or techniques or so-called tools are the topic of discussion from today onwards for the next few sessions. So today we are going to discuss about human process interventions. Okay, so we have here in these human process interventions, as you already know, they concentrate more upon bringing better relationships among the employees of the organizations or in the groups or in the teams, whatever it is. So here it works on how best you can try to resolve the issues between people in the organization or between groups in the organization, and at the same time it also helps individuals to improve their relationships in the organization with other people. So these are human process interventions. So as the name itself tells you, it uh, concentrates more upon employees. Okay, so there is one more called as human resource management interventions. So these interventions are basically from the management side, who give some facilities or who use some strategies to motivate the human that is employees of the organization. So human process interventions concentrate more upon communication between people or groups, or interpersonal relation between groups in the organization. Okay, so these are the two topics which we are going to discuss of today. So these interpersonal and group approaches. Yes, these are the three techniques which you find in these categories, that is interpersonal and group approaches. One is process consultation, second one is third party intervention, and third one is team building activities. So process consultation mainly focuses on trying to improve the relationships and communication skills between the employees of the organizations or groups in the organizations. Third party intervention here, it uses a external person or somebody from maybe within the organization only, who will try to resolve the conflicts between groups or members of the organization. So third party intervention mainly concentrates upon conflict management, and team building mainly concentrates upon strengthening the bonding between the teams in the organization. So these three techniques are what we are going to discuss for today. So what is this process intervention? So these process interventions are a kind of a set of activities on the part of a consultant that helps the group members to understand, diagnose, and improve their behaviors to devise more effective ways of working. So here nobody will try to come and improve the performance in the organization. So there will be a consultant in this process. He is called as a process consultant. So the work of this process consultant is to make the employees or the members in the organization understand, diagnose, and try to improve their own behaviors. So they themselves will understand what is their behavior. They themselves will sit together and diagnose where they are actually going wrong, and then they try to improve their behaviors on their own, trying to find out some effective ways of working here. So here the consultant role is only to facilitate them, only to help them understand where they are actually going wrong and what kind of techniques they can use to understand and diagnose their behaviors. Why this is very important, I'll tell you. Because until and unless the group members have that bonding between each other, or a kind of good relationship between each other, nobody can work effectively and in the organization. So the work ultimately is going to be affected. So if your group members, that is the members of the organization, are strong, their relationship is strong, uh, they are able to understand each other emotionally, then only they can work better as a team or a group. So these process interventions concentrate more upon increasing that bonding or a good relationship between the employees of the organization. So these interventions are aimed at helping the group to become better able to use its own resources to identify and resolve the interpersonal problems and devise more effective ways of working. The same thing here. Uh, every time the management cannot call a consultant to solve your issues. So what they try to do using in this process intervention is they try to ensure that you yourself start solving your own interpersonal problems. Let us say there is a fight between two groups in the organization. So these two, the members of these two groups themselves have to come out with a solution. They have to identify where the problem is and they have to come out with a solution. So they have to solve their own interpersonal problems without anybody's help. So initially, the management can give the help of the consultant here, but not every time. So the consultant role here is to prepare the employees to that extent where they can solve their own problems. Okay, so that is what process intervention mainly concentrates upon. So we have two categories of interventions here. One is individual and second is group. These individual interventions are, you may be telling me, madam, you're talking about process interventions, you're talking about how to build relationships in the groups. Then how come individual interventions are coming in picture here? It is very much necessary. There is a technique called as Johari window, which helps people know each other better. People are able to communicate with each other better. So when they are able to communicate with each other better, then ultimately majority of the conflicts or issues between the group members will be resolved. So that is why this Johari window, what we are going to discuss today, is going to help you to understand each other in a better manner. So this Johari window is a mainly it is a individual intervention which makes you understand what kind of a person you are. So this is a model of a Johari window. So there were two people called as Joe and Harry. So both of them have researched and founded this window, which talks about to what extent people know you and to what extent you know about yourself. Hope you can see the scale here. So this is one scale on the top, and this is the vertical scale here. Okay, so here there is something called as known to self, and there is something called as unknown to self. So this is an area which is related to self here. This is an area related to self, and this is an area which is related to others. So I'll take a simple example here. Uh, Let us say we'll consider this hidden spot. So what is meant by hidden spot? You are a person very hidden in nature, very secretive in nature. You know about yourself very nicely, what you are, what kind of person you are, what is your attitude, how you are, what is your behavior, what is your character. You know it very well, but others are not knowing anything about you. So that is why you are having that hidden spot. That is, your nature is totally hidden here, right? Wherein you hide everything, you maintain lot of secrecy, you don't share and open up with other people in the or in your life. So such kind of a personality, they are having the hidden spot personality here. Okay, so then comes blind spot. Okay, so this blind spot is very interesting. If I ask a question to somebody in your own group, uh, what is your personality? Okay, whether you are extrovert or an introvert, you may answer it as an extrovert, but your friends may say, no madam, even though he says as he's an extrovert, he is not, but he is an introvert. All your friends, if let us say there are 10 friends, all the 10 friends say that you are an introvert. In that case, That means that you are unknown to self. That is, you only don't know about your personality, but others know about your personality very nicely. That is known to others here. So that is why you are called as a blind spot here. Blind means you don't know about yourself. Okay, you are blind to your own personality here, but others know about you very nicely. So such kind of a personality falls under the category of blind spot. So this is a very interesting one more kind of a personality here, unknown window, where you only are very much confused about your life and your personality, and how can you expect other people to know about you? So that is what is the unknown window here. So this is very dangerous. If people are having this kind of a window, they are idiotic, or I can say their brain is not working properly. So most of the people don't fall under this category. Somewhere they fall under these three categories. Okay, so this unknown window. Okay, so this unknown window is very dangerous, and most, as I told you, most of the people don't fall here. This is the best window, the open one. Okay, so that window is actually a window, is a personality of a person who is more of an extrovert. That is, he does not have anything to hide. He is very straightforward. He is very much open. He is whatever he or she wants to say it. They say it on the face. They don't worry about anything. Um, they are very open in nature, and they can make friends very easily. So such kind of a personality, they fall under this open window, where they are known to others and they are also known to self. That is, their personality, they don't have any secrecy. They are totally open to people here. So such kind of a personality, is the open window, is always loved by everyone. So this open window is always loved by everyone. So don't think that the people are categorized in these four areas. Don't think like that. It is not like that. So here what happens is, every person in his life has some or the other part of hidden area, has some or the other part of open window, has some or the other part of blind spot, and somewhere there is unknown window also in our life, in our personality. So you have to identify which is more in your personality. Either you maintain too much of secrecy, your hidden spot is more, or either you don't know about yourself and you're not clear about your goals, your objectives, your responsibilities, what you want to become. Either you're like that, wherein your blind spot is more, or totally you're confused, like an unknown window is more, or you are very open and clear with everyone, very broad minded, and a kind of an extrovert person. So what kind of a person you are more in these four personalities? Guys, keep in mind, you have all of us have these four windows in our life, in our personality, but the size of the window will change here. So we'll just look into how this works here. Yes, you can see this, how the open window is more bigger here. It has reduced the size of these three windows here. So this is what is very much necessary in our life also. Try to be open more and more. So here you can increase the size of this window like this on both the sides. You have to start increasing the size of this window. Then only people will start loving each other, and you can have better relationships with people in the organizations. So how many most of us face problem related to something like, many people complain that you hide too much, you don't talk too much, you are not open, you don't share your problems, right? So this personality has to be reduced here. So that is what is your hidden area. So how can you reduce it? Trying to be more open, trying to communicate more, trying to share your issues or problems with other people, and try to find out solutions by talking to them. So by doing this, what happens is, somewhere people will start knowing you. Okay, so this hidden area will start reducing. Okay, so if this is able to reduce, automatically the window, this open window, starts getting bigger and bigger. Then how can we reduce this blind spot? You can reduce this blind spot by asking feedback from the others. Let us say, if you are presented in your class, you can ask your friends how you are presented today, how my presentation went on. Was I good? Was my communication skills were good? Where my body language was good? Was the whole presentation okay? So and one more thing, you have to clarify your friends that they have to give a true feedback. Okay, just not to impress you, they should not say that, oh, the presentation went on well. So by getting a feedback from others, your blind spot can be reduced. What is blind spot? Blind spot is something which you don't know about yourself, you don't know about your own strengths. So such is the blind spot area here. So the blind spot area can only be reduced by taking feedback from the people here. Be open, ask them the questions, whether your behavior is okay with other people, whether any changes in the behavior have to be brought or what. So such kind of feedbacks can be taken. Don't think that by asking the feedback, you are insulting yourself, you are getting yourself insulted. So don't think that. Use them as positiveness for your own life, because the more the people criticize you, the much better your personality is going to become. Many famous personalities have been uh, criticized by other people in various ways, and for that reason they have been successful in life today. So get feedback, try to understand, in the words of other people, what kind of person you are. Okay, so what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and slowly you can, when you start knowing that, it ultimately this window starts getting reduced. So if both these windows start getting reduced, automatically this area also will compress. Okay, so this model will actually help you to understand your personality, and at the same time communicate to the people properly. Okay, so by trying to talk to other people in the organization, you can start having better relationships. Okay, by asking feedback also, you can start becoming more open, and more understanding about yourself can happen here. So this Johari window will not only help you to understand your personality, but also helps you to communicate and build better relationships with other people. So this is regarding your personality. Imagine if you start understanding others' personality like this on this same model. Okay, so by understanding the others' personality using the same model, you can start communicating with them properly. Okay, so if that person is more, he does not know his own strengths, start giving him or her feedback, so that his open window increases. Start communicating with them, try to understand their issues or problems of their life. That means their unknown to other area will start reducing, that is hidden area will start reducing, and their open window will start increasing. So two things you can learn from here. One is to know your personality. Second is to communicate with each other. So if you are able to understand the personality of the other person, you can build stronger relationships with them, right? So that is why this Johari window will help you to do that. In your own groups, in your own class, you have a group of friends, right? So if one set of friends are there, why that bonding is very strong between those set of friends? It is only because they know others and they know themselves also very nicely. Okay, so this Johari window will help you to know others. At the same time, once you know them, you will easily able to communicate to them in the way they understand, in the way they need, right? You will not hurt their feelings or their opinions, right? So that is why two learnings from this Johari window is, you can understand the personality of yourself, understand the personality of others, and second thing is based on that personality you can work on your communication skills. So that is what is the Johari window. This is an individual intervention, but ultimately it helps to strengthen the relationships, interpersonal relationship in the employees of the organization. Okay, so that is what is the individual intervention. Coming to group intervention here. Okay, so we have something called as a third party intervention here. This is a kind of an intervention where you may need it during the time of conflicts. Every organization member will have some or the other conflicts with other people. Okay, so here this third party intervention mainly concentrates on those conflicts. Okay, so whatever activities the management plans focus on trying to resolve these interpersonal conflicts in the organization. And why it is called third party is sometimes the conflicts go out of hand, wherein you may need a third party, that is an external consultant who can facilitate and help you to resolve your conflicts. Okay, they will help you to understand your conflicts, and they will also help you to resolve the conflicts. But guys, every time whenever conflict is there, the management cannot call the third party consultant to come and resolve your conflicts. So the work of the third party consultant here is to prepare you to solve your own conflicts. Okay, so that is what is the main focus, not just temporarily solving your conflict and going away taking a big cash. Okay, so that is not the work of the consultant here. The work of the consultant here is to make the members of the organization understand how to resolve their own conflicts. So that is the main area of concentration in the third party interventions here. So this is a very interesting model. It is called a cyclic model of interpersonal conflicts. Let us say there is a boss and there is a subordinate. Both of them don't like each other, but subordinate will say that okay, ultimately he is a boss, let me keep quiet. Okay, then boss will say okay, fine, he is a subordinate. Right now there is no issue, so let us keep quiet. So the problems are going on with each other, but still they are hidden. They are not fighting with each other. They are not showing their anger or aggressiveness to each other. So that is what is the latent issue here. So you can see here on this slide, this is the issue which is latent in nature. Latent in nature means it is temporarily dead. That is, it is not being triggered or it is not being showcased aggressively. Nobody is fighting here. So somewhere in the mind of the boss also there is anger regarding the subordinate, and subordinate also hates the boss very, very strongly. So both of them have the opinions regarding each other, but it is cool now. It is in the latent stage now. But sometimes what happens, there can be some triggering events immediately. What are these triggering events? So here I'll give an example. Let us say there is a complaint from a customer to the manager that the service has not been given properly. Okay, so the manager will call the subordinate, that is the boss will call the subordinate here and ask him why the customer is complaining like this. This is a simple triggering event. So the subordinate will say, what the hell you are speaking? I don't know anything about this. He or she, that customer is not at all my client. So both of them start fighting each other. Okay, so what is the situation here? A small triggering event actually gave life to that latent issue. So both of them did not like each other, but still they were tolerating. But this triggering event, when the boss will call and ask the subordinate, what is the problem with you? Why you have not given service? Even though there was no mistake of the subordinate, suddenly the subordinate rises up. He starts showing his anger. So both of them start talking to each other in bad words, and they start fighting in the organization. So this simple event which happened, it was a triggering event, and these triggering events are something which actually um, trigger the issue and uh, convert it into a conflict. So it leads to certain behaviors here. That is nothing but both of them start fighting here. That is what is the behavior. And when they start fighting, the consequences are their relationships are affected. Okay, so the complaint goes to the higher authorities, and both of them may be thrown from the organization, or they may be given warning, or any kind of consequences can happen here. So once that consequences has happened, again the issue gets cooled down. Okay, for some days, again both of them keep quiet, because the manager has called both of them, and he has shouted on both of them to keep quiet and not to fight again. So somewhere the situation has cooled down here. Again, when the issue will arise, when there is again one more situation or a triggering event which happens in the organization between both of them, again they may start fighting with each other again, which may result into some consequences. And here warnings may not be enough. Both of them may be thrown out of the organization also. So you can see here two phases, phase one and phase two here. So this phase one, okay, this phase one is the episode one here. Okay, and this phase two, what you see is the episode two here. Like this cycle will go on. That is why it is called as a cyclic model. So it goes from here, again temporarily the issue is resolved, again it is triggered, again both of them fight, again it leads to some consequences. So this kind of a cyclic process will be going on in the organization with respect to some conflicts here. So what is necessary here? You need some strategies to resolve these conflicts, and these conflicts should not be resolved for a temporary time period. So for that you have certain strategies here, and okay, and these strategies are four. So the first three strategies mainly try to resolve the conflict temporarily, but the fourth strategy only helps you to resolve the conflict permanently. The consultant, the third party consultant, should implement these strategies. Initially, the first strategy is try to determine a clear understanding of the events and try to prevent the conflict as much as possible. So the consultant, what he will do, he will make both of them, the boss and the subordinate, understand where actually the conflict is getting triggered. So from next time onwards, when some disturbance is happening, when there are some triggering factors, immediately both of them, boss and subordinate, should understand that they may end up in a fight. So they both have to keep quiet and tolerate each other. So that is the first strategy. When there are some small signs where both of them start understanding that, okay, this might get an height, this might become a big fire, this might lead to a big conflict, let us both of them keep quiet. So they have to start understanding. And this understanding has to be given to those people by the third party. Second is set limits on the timing and extent of the conflict. So try not to exaggerate it too much or pull it too much. So ensure that both of the categories, that is boss as well as the subordinate, um, set limits on the timing. So let them wait until if it rises too much only, then they can talk to each other, communicate to each other, or any kind of consequences it may go to. But here initially try to set the limits on the timing. So wait for some time. If something has happened, if some triggering event has happened, you have to wait for some time. Okay, and then take a decision. Both of them, that is the boss and the subordinate. The consultant has to help both the parties to cope up differently with the conflict. So you can tell the boss that subordinate, anyhow he is a subordinate, he may not be having so much of knowledge what the boss is having. So sir, try to cope up with him. At the same time, you can ask the subordinate, sir, he is a very young person, he is inexperienced, so try to cope up with him as much as possible. So don't try to fight. So somewhere differently, you can give some different strategies to both the parties and help them to resolve their conflicts on their own. But as I said, the first three strategies are temporary in nature. So any time, any point of time, again, the problems may arise, the conflicts may arise. So that is why there is a need to permanently resolve the conflict. That you have to do it in the fourth strategy. So attempt to eliminate or resolve the basic issues in the conflict itself. So here, help them to understand where actually the conflict is and why that conflict is between both of them. So by doing this, help them to communicate, arrange for an informal meeting for them or a formal meeting for them, sit there with them, try to understand, try to make them talk to each other, try to understand where actually the conflict has risen up, and try to help them to solve the basic issues. If the basic conflict itself is over and they start having a good understanding about themselves, about each other also, then ultimately that conflict can be permanently resolved in the between both the people. So that is what is a conflict resolution, episodic model, cyclic model of conflict resolution. So the third party intervention is necessary here at the first time. But second time, third time, if again conflicts happen, members of the organization themselves should learn how to cope up with those conflicts, how to resolve those conflicts. So, to resolve any conflicts in life or in organization, the best strategy is pure communication, transparent communication. So, the more transparent you are in communicating with each other, the more your conflicts can be resolved easily. So, that is a kind of a third party intervention. And the last category are simple team building activities. So here, bonding may not be strong between the members of the organization. Issues may be there. People may not like with each other. People may not know each other. So trying to help them know each other and trying to help them work together. So these team building activities concentrate upon. So these team building activities will help to help the intervention target basically one or more individuals, a group's operation and a behavior of the group, then group's relationship with the rest of the organization members. So here, these team building interventions or activities will concentrate on trying to bring changes in the behavior of one or more individuals. It will also help to function to ensure that the group functions or operates properly, and the members of the group will behave with each other properly. Then it will strengthen the relationships of the members with the other members in the organization. So that is why today you can see majority of the companies are spending lakhs together of rupees just to conduct team building activities. They take them to resorts and conduct outbound activities for them. For what reason? Because if the companies understand that if teams or groups are healthy, the relationships are good between the members of the organization, ultimately the performance of the organization is going to increase. That is, effectiveness of the work is going to increase. At the same time, these team building activities will also help to understand and diagnose themselves. Okay, so where there are lacunas in the team, where they can work, how they can develop with themselves, how can they improve themselves, what are their strengths, what are the weaknesses of the team, on which weaknesses we have to work and try to resolve them. So such things also these team building activities can help them. So there are many examples of team building activities which concentrate upon leadership skills, problem solving skills, decision making abilities, planning skills, organizing skills, okay, creative skills. So all these activities can help to resolve the issues in the team teams or groups in the organizations. So these are some team building activities you can find which can strengthen the strength of the relationship in the group members. Okay, so thank you for today's session on uh, human process interventions. Okay.